For 40 years of my life, I tried to be somebody I wasn't, a follower, wasn't comfortable in my own skin, so I ended up doing what everybody else was doing, drugs, booze, you name it, I did it, trying to find something I thought I was missing. My parents separated at an early age, so I went to church on the weekends when I was with my father, but didn't understand what anybody was saying. Even in church I felt left out. I ended up becoming a drug dealer because people wanted me to be around then. You know, I had something that somebody wanted. I didn't know I had a problem until I got sober to realize I did have a problem in what I've done. You know, I didn't know I was in denial is what it was, and until I came to the realization that this isn't the way that I want to live anymore, and then reading the Bible and talking to God, because I was so uncomfortable, I didn't know how it worked. After I got the concept of all you have to do is believe and have faith in me, just to have faith in Jesus that He would heal these people, and it was just by the power of faith and believing in Him that all things are possible through Him. Ended up where when I got out of recovery, I got a concrete job where I worked 12 hours a day. It's factory concrete. It's called precast. So God got me fit because He knew what was in store for me, you know, and just the little things. I don't believe in the word coincidence anymore. Coincidence is not a thing. He has a purpose for me, and it wasn't the way I was living. I've came to a lot of problems, but nothing that I couldn't handle with God. Nothing. I love the new life that I have in Jesus, through Jesus Christ. I love it.
My testimony goes back a little far, but the most important things in my life are here in my portfolio. And this is a picture of my father. I happened to have grew up in the church that he had his commencement in. My life pretty much kind of goes like a revolving door. I moved back and forth, but I've always ended up in Michigan, which is home to me. The most important part of my life, which is the greatest part of my life, is the birth of my son, Daquan Contrell Henderson. He was born in 2009 at Spalding Regional Hospital in Griffin, Georgia. I did live in Griffin for quite a long time, which was not a very good experience for me, because I was living with his father, who is this man right here, family, and I really didn't have very much support from them. I did go to church there, and I decided to move. I decided to come home. So when I moved in with my cousin, it was a little rocky at first, and we had our problems and our differences. This is done. Our problems and our differences as cousins. But since I've decided to turn my life to God, I've learned to calm down, and I've learned to ignore things that I know I can't control. I've always known Jesus, but sometimes I never thought He was there. But as I continue my walk, He always tells me, I was always there, Lynette, but you just never turned around and looked. I always remember that you can do anything as long as you believe that God has the power to do it, because trust me, He does.
I've been playing music ever since I was in 5th grade. I started playing the trombone, and when I was in, I would say, I think 7th grade, I started getting my first performances. They were at mostly local churches, which is kind of I didn't know it at the time, but it was my introduction to God. Every time I would get a church gig, I would play, and I would read the Bible, and I would learn a little bit more, but I would never really take it to heart. Then I met Anna, and we were just friends for a pretty long time. And when we got to be, get to know each other a little bit better, she started asking me questions about faith and about God, and I would ask her questions in response that I think kind of stumped her. When we started dating, she brought me to Madison, and it really helped too that her family is of a very strong faith, and they've been able to help me out too. I got a contract to perform guitar on celebrity cruises for about 6 months. I think that being away from Anna made me realize that I was in danger of being separated from God. And I didn't want Anna to be my link to God. I wanted to have my own link. I wanted to be a part of God's family. And I felt like I was missing God as well. One night when I was on the ship, I remember I knew that God was what I wanted is definitely what I wanted in my life. I knew that it was something I needed and I couldn't live without. Jesus He is the one, the first thing I think of is the one who lifts me up. I always just hand it up to Jesus, and He's my lifter. That's really how I would describe Him to me. He's my lifter. I couldn't do it without Him.
I was involved in Awana when I was very little, and then I went to Spring Hill camps when I was a little bit older, and that was great. And then in middle school, my mom taught Bible study for my friends and I, and we also met before school every Wednesday at Buddy's Bagels to pray for our teachers and our friends. When I got to high school, my faith kind of fell to the wayside. I mean, I don't think that I was actually gone away from it, but I was challenging it. I really challenged it, and I wanted it to be something that I sort of discovered on my own. It was sort of a way of resetting myself by sort of entertaining maybe there isn't a God, or maybe there isn't Jesus. I would say the biggest turning point for me was toward the end of college. I found myself ministering to a friend of mine who seemed to take an interest in the Bible. We had met at work during a summer in college and became close friends after that. I wanted to be able to answer his questions right away, and I felt myself being like, that's a great question, let me look that up really quick. So I really wanted him to be saved. I think that was the first time that I really was challenged that way. And God was just intermixed with everything, and I think that He was working that out, for both of us. My faith is very strong now, and there is nothing that is going to stray me away from my faith. I am very solid in my beliefs, and I see how God works in my life. Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me.
Hi, I'm Ryan.
And I'm Anna.
And we're going to be getting married here at Madison Square Church on August 8, 2015.
Yay!
Yay!